don't see it. It's not in that. Fuck shit. Are we allowed to swear on this?
No.
We kind of use TVGP rules.
Yeah.
Oh, that's clown shoes.
You got it. You got it.
If Boston wants to open the throttle, I'd be happy to fill the internet with more explicit language.
You have no idea how vulgar I can be.
The Monday Night Crew does, I imagine.
You guys have me this close to buying a bone. And I'm not gonna do it. It's just
Buying
a
Play
what?
with us on Mondays?
Yeah,
Oh,
Well, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you come join us on Mondays?
because Xboxes are not cheap. You know how
There's
much
a
beer money that
PS4.
is?
That's a decent amount of beer money.
Look, you don't need beer money when you play with us on Mondays
you don't. You
and
don't.
Fridays.
You're
Yeah, you don't-
intoxicating.
I can't put into words how entertaining Donnie is.
You really can't.
It's,
I've only
it's worth
experienced it
every
once or
penny
twice.
that you would spend.
It's the shit that flies out of his mouth at any given moment it's gold, Jerry. It's gold.
Yeah. Oh, that's a bad. Ooh, love that background. I know I sent it to
Yeah.
you, but I love it.
I know, it's great. Hey, Boston's in chat. Hey, Boston.
What background?
If you go to the Twitch stream, I put a background for whatever game we're covering on. So this one's Isaac just shooting a bunch of. You can't see him because they're behind you guys, but he's shooting a bunch of necromorphs going out
Shooting
into
his load?
space. Yes, his plasma load.
There's a Donnie in
I
some.
have a plasma load.
There's 3 of them.
It's a trifecta. Or a
Watch,
menage a trois?
watching your starfish, cowboy.
A menage a trois of necromorphs.
It's a lot more than that of necromorphs.
I said, oh.
Jesus. This is
All
not
right.
going to go well tonight.
We doing this, boys?
We're not. Yeah, I think we're ready
Please,
to go
let's
here.
get started.
All right, let's kick it off. All right, everybody. Welcome to
Am I
another
supposed to be
episode.
recording?
Oh, don't worry about that. We got it on this side. I record through Pamela. So
All right. Well, cool. I can put you guys full screen then.
yeah. So welcome everybody to TVGP Game Club number 23 for Dead Space 2. I'm your host, the Hannah. With me, as always, is Scott, Nintendork327.
Hello, everybody.
The other JZ.
Hello.
And special guest, Knobs. What's going on, sir?
What's up?
Oh, you know.
I made the cut.
You did. You did.
You weren't plasma cut.
You didn't make the plasma cut. You just made the normal cut.
Line gun did not take my legs, sir.
Something to be proud of right there. So yeah, let's jump right into it. So this month's game club was Dead Space 2. This is a game that came out January 5th, 2011 in North America, January 28th, 2011 in the EU. Kind of a weird release date, but as we'll see later, it's not terribly unusual for that. That year was weird. There was a lot of releases that were kind of later in the year.
Yeah, that's awfully early, but you know, when I think about it, that's kind of the perfect time to have this game to just sort of dive into and multiple playthroughs and yeah.
For sure.
A lot of time was spent that winter trying to beat this on the hardest difficulty with 2 saves.
No, it was
A
3.
lot of times.
It was 3. You're still insane if you attempt it, but it was 3.
I never made it past the disc change.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
That brute got me every time.
Yep.
Wow.
Oh man. So yeah, this came out for 360, PS3, and Windows on its initial release. We had one special edition for this that came out in I think pretty much all regions with some variations. We'll just cover the U.S. region. So the piece de resistance here is the replica plasma cutter that came with the collector's edition of this game.
Not as cool as you think it would be.
Really?
Is it
Did you
I
get
have
it?
I have it downstairs.
is it
Why isn't
Batman?
it? Why didn't you bring it and show it?
Batarang-sized, or-
Oh, yeah, well, I'll grab the prop. I'll be right
All
back.
right.
Yeah,
We can
yeah.
go on without knobs for a few here. So it came with the replica plasma cutter, which we'll have a visual on in just a few here.
Okay, now this is where we pretend we've already done the show when he gets back, right? And we wrap it up.
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks for joining us, Knobs. We'll see you next time.
Oh man. It came with a CD soundtrack, pretty standard. A couple pieces of DLC, including the Unitology suit Force Gun. And actually a really cool like cell artwork that has some necromorphs and concept art on it.
Like a lithograph.
So
kind of thing?
Yeah.
The PS3 version also came with the Move-compatible Extraction game.
Yes.
Yes. Which was not entirely hot garbage.
Which is
Look
surprising.
at that thing.
Yeah,
That
but
thing
I mean,
looks horrible.
That is tiny.
It is, but you know.
Oh, well, that's neat.
It does
Okay.
light up. That's
It's like
pretty
the
I
tiny-
changed my opinion.
It's like the tiny cricket from Men in Black.
Well, yeah, and it's got like little pivot thingies on it. I mean,
That's cool.
when I opened it
Can
up, I was so excited. And I was like, oh.
Can you hit right bumper and flip it and it goes sideways on you?
No, I would break it. Like it would. It's
That's
So
ridiculous.
for people who can't see this, since they're not watching the stream, it is literally the size of your hand,
Yeah.
and that's how big it is.
It looks like it's about the size
Well,
of a 3.5-inch hard drive.
my hand is slightly larger than the norm, but it's
It's relative, it gives you some idea. It's about that. It's not a full-size replica, and it's not a tiny little thing.
Yeah.
And it does light up. It's got little LED lights that light up. So that saves it a little bit, but man, that's a little underwhelming.
If it
That's
had
a bit of a bummer.
3
It was.
green laser pointers instead of 3 green flashlights, that would
Yeah.
be pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would agree, but then they would have to make it a 1-to-1 scale then. But it's probably a 3rd scale replica, so it was equally disappointing getting the Phase 1 Tesseract box for the Avengers.
Oh, yeah.
Like, come on, dude, could you find a cheaper grade of plastic to make this out of? But
The answer's probably no.
no.
So Dead Space 2 was developed by Visceral Games, and Visceral was originally known as, I believe it was EA Redwood Shores,
Yes.
and they became Visceral in 2009, but from 2001 to, and Dead Space 1 was 2009 if I'm remembering correctly, right?
It sounds right. Yep.
Okay.
Maybe late 8, but right around there.
But up until Dead Space, Visceral didn't really do an original game. They did licensed properties. They had a bunch of James Bond games. So like 007.
They did the Simpsons game?
They did do
Yeah.
the Simpsons game, the one for
That game is
360.
amazing.
That game is awesome.
Yep.
I really like these Lord of the Rings ones. Return of the King was the best version of those 3.
Yeah,
Third
absolutely.
Age was a complete knockoff of Final Fantasy X and a total reskin, but I didn't care because it was still awesome.
It totally worked.
Redwood Shores also did a few Tiger games as well.
Yeah. And we've also got they did the Godfather games, and they did a Sims game for DS, My Sims. But in 2009, they did Dead Space, and I was still working video game retail at that point, and I remember that being a real big seller that holiday season. That was a sleeper hit.
Mm-hmm.
Dead Space was great.
Yeah, that game came literally out of nowhere. It just came out of EA like a rocket, and that was the year EA could do no wrong.
Yep.
They put out, because I believe, didn't EA publish Left 4 Dead for Valve, or am I misremembering that?
No.
No,
they don't
it was in that same thing where EA was pushing the boundaries when they were releasing Mirror's Edge, and they were taking
it.
risk on first year properties.
Yeah, they got all new IP happy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I
paid
really
off
turned
for
around
years
on them
there.
because I was starting to hate them, and I was
Yep.
like, all right, you got Mirror's Edge, Dead Space, like there's all these properties, these IPs that we've needed since this console launch. You know, you had Condemned, and that was about it. But we're finally getting them.
Army of Two, like there was, a lot of things that they were really rolling the dice on, and we love video games again.
Yeah. So they just put out a pile of games. They've also done, they did the Battlefield 3 DLC Endgame, and they are currently working on Battlefield Hardline, as well as an untitled Star Wars project, which is pretty exciting. I would love to see them, because they
would
clearly can do space.
Yeah.
Let's see if they
No,
can do
they have a good
regular
handle on
space,
space.
not dead
And-
space.
And they did take another risk by trying to make a action game out of Dante's Inferno, which I thought was very successful. I really enjoyed that game.
I remember listening to TVGP around that time and thinking like, okay, I'll give that game a try, and ended up playing around with it. It's like, yeah, it's very God of War-esque, but it's really good.
Yeah.
It was a really well done game.
Yeah, it had that one really controversial achievement, though. What was that?
I thought it was the very end of the game with the last levels where it was like 13 consecutive like arena battles in a row.
Oh God, that was awful. Yeah.
Yeah, where it did that, where you jumped onto that platform, it did that mind-breaking camera swing, so you go from like vertical to upside down, but the camera doesn't pan around. It just, I'm still getting like old school like Dark Forces style like vomit-inducing gravity or like movement shifts.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah, by all rights, that should have been an awful game, and it ended up being a good 7 or 8.
Yeah. But yeah, Visceral's done some pretty good stuff since Dead Space. I mean, everything, even before Dead Space, they had some good licensed properties, but, you know, they're sort of coming in their own now. I think Battlefield Hardline will be a real watershed moment for them, depending on how that goes.
Yeah.
We know one person that's not going to buy it, don't we?
Yeah, it's so disappointing.
But yeah, so they are part of the EA Games label, so they are just an EA house studio. They've never really been anything else. They're located actually within the EA headquarters in Redwood Shores, California. And speaking of EA, I bet you can't guess who published this game.
THQ.
THQ.
Who's got that kind of swing where they could pull it off?
It's probably Activision. No, it's EA. EA published this and everything else that Visceral's ever done, and it's EA. I mean, we can't really deep dive into them. There's too much.
Yeah, I don't think there's any need to.
Been a publishing giant since 1982. If you don't know who EA is, go look at Wikipedia. So let's do our traditional thing here. Let's travel back in time. You know, that whole 4 years to January 2011. You know, when men were men.
I was trying to conceive a second child.
When men were men, as I stated. So this came out, and it was pretty universally loved. I literally couldn't find a bad review of this game. Obviously, you're going to find like bad Metacritic user reviews, but no major outlet came even close to...
I'm pretty sure Edge gave it a 6.
Edge doesn't count, and you know it. They're not even a thing anymore, are they?
They sure are. They're
really?
In their $90 magazine.
Oh, Jesus.
What was Edge the magazine that was tied with GameStop?
No, that's Game Informer.
Game Informer.
Oh, that's Game Informer. All right.
Edge was that was always the UK version of Next Generation, the magazine I loved. Mm-hmm. When that went out, and then they started bringing over the Borders or something. Used to keep like every other month a copy of Edge would be there, and it was like $30.
Yeah.
Huh.
So yeah, Giant Bomb says 5 out of 5. Destructoid 9.5 out of apparently 19 because I can't type. And Game Informer gave it a 9 out of 10. I really, really liked what Brad Shoemaker from Giant Bomb said about it. Dead Space 2 doesn't do anything especially new. It just does everything exceedingly well.
Yep.
That sums up this game.
Yeah, we're done here. I'll see you guys next time.
Later.
Yep.
If I had to put a review on it, a synopsis like that, it is the reason we play video games.
Absolutely. It is an extraordinarily well-crafted single experience.
Yes.
Yep.
And
it is, and that how many times you heard me said these games are perfect?
They're real close.
They're not perfect.
Oh, stop
We'll get
it!
into why they're not perfect.
Stop it!
But they are really, really good.
They are phenomenal, and I'm glad this was one of those game clubs that pushed me not only to play the Game Club game, but like the whole series. I might even play 3 because I think I've got it on PlayStation Plus.
Yeah.
If you bought The Sims or SimCity like an idiot, you might have it for free from Origin.
That is true. So Dead Space 2, according to VG Archives, sold 3.18 million copies worldwide, which obviously doesn't include digital sales. So across all 3 platforms, physical sales was almost 3.2 million, which is pretty respectable.
Every month we have what I think are these really big games, and then I see 3 million copies, and I think there's like, 9 billion people in the world? And okay, so you cut that, by 10, or a factor of 10 to account for people who live in countries where they can get these consoles, it still doesn't seem like enough. Like, everyone I know has played this game, and most of them did it before you had EA coming onto Steam and stuff. So it's like, that number seems crazy low to me, but okay.
But, I mean, anything over 1 million seller, isn't that considered good?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, million sellers is usually pretty solid. So 3.18 million, not bad, especially for a property like this that still a fairly new IP. I mean, this was the first sequel, which is even in 2011 that was pretty rare.
The other thing about this game is it's not going to appeal to everyone.
That's true. Yeah, I mean,
it is more of a niche game. To sell 3 million copies is pretty impressive.
That's right. Especially for a space horror game. I mean, your sci-fi horror game, you're literally limiting a focused audience down just by the nature of the game itself.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's a really good point.
Closed-minded fans on either end of that spectrum will go, I like horror, but I don't care about sci-fi. And then you got the sci-fi guys like, I don't like aliens, so I'm not going to do that. So I was going to skip the marketing portion that we usually do here and sort of discuss like the what marketing tactics this took, but I forgot about the marketing.
Mom hates Dead Space.
Your mom hates Dead Space 2.
Yeah.
This was a ridiculous. I remember hating this marketing campaign. It was just so dumb.
It's dumb in the best ways. I love dumb.
It got it attention. You know what? No such thing as bad press. It got it attention. It 100% did that. But there was a lot of criticism, regarding it as, sexist and reinforcing, stereotypes of female gamers, which I totally get. But at the same time, it got the word out about this game. As a marketing campaign, it was successful in the most technical of senses. And as they say on Futurama, you are technically correct, the best kind of correct.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot all about that until I looked at your show notes, and I actually went, like out loud to myself. Oh, God, that's right, that was a thing.
I would have forgotten about this. I copied this over from the Saints Row show notes, and I still had marketing stuff from that show in there, so...
I was like, Isaac has a dubstep gun? This is awesome!
Yeah.
That'd be a sweet crossover.
Hey, the foam finger's pretty good.
Hey, you know what?
Yeah!
I feel like the end of Saints Row 4, you could make a Dead Space Saints Row crossover happen now.
You could.
Let's do it.
You could after the stupid weaponry in Get Out of Hell. I mean,
nice.
Come on, the Ark of the Covenant's a gun. Stop it.
You don't know it's not.
No, it is.
I'm talking about the real Ark. We
Uh,
haven't found that yet. So.
Just march it out in front of the army. It'll be all right.
Yeah. So let's talk about the games.
Exodus jokes.
Let's talk about the games.
Biblical comedy is the best comedy.
And I'm the least biblical person right here.
Maybe. I don't know.
All right, let's steer the ship. Let's write things
Let's write the arc.
Start sailing in the proper direction.
Indeed. So this game came out in January 2011. Between December 2010 and February 2011, I was shocked at the games that came out in that small window. So Dead Space 2 was competing with the likes of the original Borderlands, World of Warcraft Cataclysm, Little Big Planet 2, Mass Effect 2. You don't know Jack, but that was just a personal favorite of mine. I know no one else bought that.
It's a great game.
It's a great game.
I bought it twice.
Yeah, I think I've bought it at least that many times. Marvel vs. Capcom 3, the first release, not the subsequent 3 or 4.
I was going to ask, is this the Marvel Tax version or just the regular version?
Just the regular version. They didn't add on the tax.
This is vanilla.
Yeah, vanilla. There you go.
That's the game that made me boycott Capcom.
And
that was the straw.
Last but certainly not least, one of our previous Game Club games, Bulletstorm.
Oh, Bulletstorm.
It's a good one.
So that is a list of games, man. That is some serious heavy hitters sitting right there on the page. I mean, you have a franchise that's on its third, probably aiming towards its fourth iteration at this point. Well, fifth if you count the Telltale games. Yeah. An MMO giant that had been already at that point running for, 7 years strong? Almost 8?
Well, that was the 12 million days. Right before Cataclysm was the height.
Yeah.
Of subs.
Oh, yeah. Wrath of the Lich King brought in a ton of numbers, and those numbers stayed there. And then Mass Effect 2, which, if I remember correctly, was the Game of the Year for 2011 for TVGP. Like, across the board.
I also remember, Knobs, you played that game in about a day and a half.
Which one? Borderlands?
Mass Effect 2.
Yeah. Oh, I played the game a lot.
I think I spent a day and a half just mining in Mass Effect 2.
I think we all spent about a day.
Well, I think when he's mentioned a day and a half is I did not get up from a chair for a day and a half.
No, because those were back in the days when I was staying home with my kid, and then you were off of work in the winter. So, we'd chat in the afternoon, and you were like, "Yeah, I picked up Mass Effect 2," and the next day you were like, "I'm done." That's my first playthrough. It's like, what?
How?
What did you do? Did you go to sleep?
I hit a groove in that game where I couldn't stop.
I can totally see that in that game. It's paced so well.
It gives you such momentum going into that moment, like the point of no return. Like it's so good.
All right. So I wouldn't say that Dead Space 2 was top of the pile, but it certainly wasn't overlooked in any sort of sense here. It definitely middle of the pack in all this. I mean, that's so many good games, but such varying crowds. I mean, the MMO crowd's not necessarily going to go after Dead Space. Mass Effect 2 and Dead Space probably had some crossover, as did Bulletstorm, I'd imagine. But
yeah, I mean, if you told me I had to pick 2 of these games off this list to ever play again, it would probably be Mass Effect 2 and Dead Space.
Yeah. I could say that. Maybe I might swap out Mass.
If you had 3 other people, Borderlands is right there too.
Yes, okay. There you go. That's probably the best way to put that. But yeah, let's jump into this. Dead Space 2.
First hour impressions, I like doing that, right?
Yeah.
I got a little bit on Dead Space Ignition if you guys want those me for about a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
That was that garbage downloadable sort of prequel that I think they released right before the game came out.
Yep.
And it's all the cutscenes are all motion comics. It's 3 mini games that are all puzzles. One is a side-scrolling racer. The other one is a TD minigame with no discernible tutorial that you win by mashing buttons.
Yeah, still this day I don't know how to play any of those games.
But you have to dig through menus, and it's like 3 menus deep to find basic tutorials. There's a laser grid version that's sort of place blocks in certain places to light stuff up. Total garbage, doesn't give you any feedback at all. The voice acting is terrible. There is a woman named Anderson. They spelled it Andersyn.
It just makes you want to vomit.
Well, thankfully, she got ate by babies.
Yep.
So that solved that problem.
Bonus.
The voice acting was terrible. It was like they were reading the lines. They got brought off the street and they were like, "What's a dead space?" And it was $5. If you didn't, I think I pre-ordered the game or something maybe because I'm a terrible person and I do pre-orders. But I got it for free or I got a code for it or something. But I looked it up before I started playing it, and they still want $5 for this pile.
Wow.
And if you go to howlongtobeat.com, it's an hour game. Ooh. 1 hour. Which was a mercy, let's be honest. But I came away just thinking they should have done it like a marketing thing like they did with PT.
Yeah.
It would have been great. It would have got some more awareness out there, or maybe killed your sales because it was terrible. But anyway, first hour takeaways.
Jay-Z, go ahead.
Okay. First thing, I don't know if you guys did this. Just for the record, Hannah, this is your first time playing through any of the series.
Yep.
Boston. Oh, Jesus. Knobs, Scott, you guys have played through this before, right?
Yeah. Not Dead Space 2.
Not 2. Okay.
I played through the first Dead Space. I played through Dead Space Extraction.
Okay. Did you guys check the previously on or the previously in?
I did. That.
Every time. Every time I load that game up. What a great synopsis of Dead Space.
It gives you more information than Dead Space did.
Yes.
Yes, it did.
Oh, that's what's happening. Okay.
Well, and it's really nice, especially for something like this, where of course when they released it, it was 2 years after the original. Yeah. But for us, we're playing this 4-year-old game. It's really, really nice to have that.
Oh, yeah.
just for replayability, you know. What did you guys do your difficulties on?
Easy. I wanted to finish it.
Easy, normal.
Yeah, easy because that's the only one that really. I mean, you can play through that game 100 times on easy and have a blast.
Oh yeah, it's an embarrassment of riches on that difficulty too.
Yeah, I started out on survivalist because I've played through it before, and I had some loads for some saves for the that were on the zealot level, which is sort of the not new game plus, but sort of harder. It unlocks after you beat the game, and I got about halfway through the game, and I was like, "What am I doing? Like, why am I dying? This is stupid. I don't want to keep loading. Like, let's just bump it down to normal and let's finish this." And you're right. It's everything is like it's like opening one of those cans that you think is like caramel corn or whatever it is, and all the snakes pop out. Like that's what it is. Except it's ammo when you're stomping bodies.
Nice.
Now that being said, I played on normal and I died a lot. But the odd thing about it was I never felt frustrated with dying.
Well, because
It never dissuaded me.
the death animations were so good.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I mean, there
Gory.
are 7...
Oh my gosh, the gore.
I forgot. Maybe I'll have to look it up here when you guys are talking. But if you go to YouTube and you find like a montage of all the ways to die in Dead Space, they're all unique, and it's like, I think it's like 12 minutes long or something like that of just different. They're all fatalities. They're Mortal Kombat fatalities.
Wow.
It's bananas. How did you guys do your upgrades?
Wildly and without any real strategy.
Yeah. At first it was. At first it was, and then at the end of the game I started to develop a strategy.
It wasn't so much a strategy as I went, I like this gun, and just shoved all my nodes into that.
Okay, that's what I did.
It depends. 'Cause I had a lot of carryover experience from Dead Space 1, knowing what the guns were capable of.
Oh, yeah.
And since they significantly nerfed the plasma cutter in this game,
Yeah.
I still
they
use
did?
that thing the whole time.
I pretty much relied on that.
Oh, shoot. Play through 1 again, and then use the plasma cutter exclusively, and you're literally just dissecting everything in the world with it.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, it just didn't seem to pack the same amount.
Oh, you know
of
what?
punch.
You're right. I had to put a couple of shots into things to get a limb to come off.
Yeah, well, in the
Yeah.
first one, it's really
Now that
one
you mention
shot.
It really was, wasn't it? Yeah.
Right.
Once
Now that you say that, I kind of agree.
Once you fully upgrade that plasma cutter in this game, it's not bad, but it's still not as powerful as you'd think it should be.
I mean, it sets guys on fire, which is cool, but doesn't do nearly as much as you would want it to.
Yeah.
That being said, I still upgraded it to full. I didn't respec at all.
No, same here.
I stopped carrying it. I mean, I pretty much
Wow.
the pulse rifle replaced
Wow.
that spot.
Really?
Wasn't a fan of that gun.
I carried
neither
4
one.
things. The whole game, I carried 4 things. I only carried the plasma cutter. I carried the Ripper, which became my
Yeah.
go-to weapon.
Yeah.
I relied on the Ripper.
Love that
I
gun.
carried a plasma rifle only to shoot small things that I couldn't hit with the plasma cutter or the Ripper.
Yes.
And just because I had a 4th slot, I carried a force gun, which really sucked. I didn't like it.
What?
But that's it. That's all I played with that whole game.
Oh.
My loadout was pretty similar to my Dead Space 1 loadout. Same. I totally agree with you, Scott. That was my go-to gun. 'Cause
Man,
that
it
thing
rips
was-
things up.
It, as the name implies.
As one would expect, yeah.
Yes, and the plasma cutter, just because it felt wrong not to carry it. You know, it's one of those like, I should really have this. The line gun, which, man, once you upgrade that thing, it is a beast.
But it's terrible until you do.
It's not, no.
I would agree. I'd say it's terrible because I picked that up early on and I shot at something and I totally missed and went, oh, this gun's
And
done.
if you watch the old Vietnam, like, on the scene footage,
Yeah.
they will reload artillery guns quicker than that line gun reloads. Seriously, you could make a sandwich while he's reloading that thing. Or just in between shots, even.
I also carried the pulse rifle for the same reason that as Scott mentioned, just to shoot like the little tiny explodey like crawly thingies.
The babies.
Yeah.
You know, if you shoot their heads off, you can use the rest of their body as a projectile.
Which I used on a number of
I
occasions.
did not know that,
Yeah.
and I don't know that I could have done that in the heat of battle anyway.
Yeah.
They move real slow.
They
Babies
do.
aren't real fast.
They
They're
do,
real
but
easy to
everything
shoot.
else comes around, and
Just-
I'm panicking.
Yeah, just a little.
I had the. I
Okay,
thought the
good.
Ripper was terrible.
Yes,
It
I agree.
was-
I agree.
Oh no! I relied on the Ripper.
Yeah.
Got me to the end of the game.
That gun is so good. I mean, the standard fire is decent. It's when you get into that alternate fire, and if you got a decent aim on you, you can take something out in
I just
no
thought
time at all.
I thought it was brilliant to be able to hold a blade in front of you like that would just tear anything up.
I didn't want
That's
anything
pretty
that close to me.
Yeah, that's like
But
people
that
who use the Ripper
things were
are like
constantly
people who play
that close to me.
Zangief in Street Fighter.
Oh.
You should be in camps. That is what I'm saying.
Good Lord.
Russian labor camps.
Appropriately enough.
So I had I went full plasma cutter. I kept the line gun just because I couldn't find anything I liked better, but I never used it. I had it just so I could pick up the ammo and sell it.
Yeah, it's expensive ammo.
I had the pulse rifle so I could, shoot babies in the head. And then I was rocking the flamethrower for a while until I picked up a schematic for the contact beam. Any of you guys use that thing?
Nope.
That is
never
No,
touched
I did
it.
not. Yeah.
Took too long to charge in the 1st
We'll
one,
talk.
so I didn't trust it in the second one.
no idea.
The boss fight was over for me in, I think, 12 seconds because of that thing.
Which one?
The contact beam. They may as well call it an annihilation engine because anything it touches is just gone.
Anything like if you hit it center mass, it blows off every limb in one shot.
Oh, well,
Oh,
that's pretty sweet.
Great
Well,
for
yeah, that'd
those
be handy.
charger guys that like to hide behind corners.
Maybe
'cause they run right at you and they're gone.
Maybe put that in a tooltip or something.
No, it's literally, okay. It's like the scene at 300 where he hits the rhino in the eye with the javelin. Like everything just falls at your feet.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
It's a game changer. Pick that up next time.
I think, yeah, if I do a second playthrough of this, it seems this is one of those games you can just sort of go, I'm going to play this today, and you're done with it in a day.
Yep.
Well, and you can always respec your nodes.
Yep.
I mean, it's not free, but you can respec.
Oh yeah, it's not expensive though either. It's only 5,000 credits.
I never
Which
did
is
it. I
pretty
don't know.
paltry. It is. It's
Yeah.
5,000. It's pretty paltry in the scheme of things. It's not
Yeah.
that expensive. But yeah, I agree. This game offers a lot of replay value coming back at either a different difficulty level or, as we talked about, I didn't use
Different loadout.
half the weapons. So
Yeah.
Well, all right. So I guess I had a pretty unique set of weapons that I used exclusively. I love the Seeker rifle. I just love picking things off with that Seeker rifle. I think that has the power of the plasma rifle in the first Dead Space game.
But that's
love
the sniper,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That seems really hard to like shoot a leg off with a sniper rifle when they move that quick.
Oh, you get it. I played that game a lot.
Okay.
you got to use kinesis quite a bit, or no?
It was absolutely. I used kinesis like nonstop. Like
Yeah.
I could not have enough of those little packs in my kit. The javelin, I love the javelin. I love sticking everything and then hitting the alt fire and lighting everything on electrified. It was great. It was really hard to do at times, so that's the one I cycled between that and the pulse rifle a lot.
Yeah.
Force gun, purely crowd control. Because literally, once you got that thing upgraded with all your nodes, you're literally moving a room in front of you. It's awesome.
Very cool.
And
It's
then
the Force Unleashed gun.
yes, it's the force push. It's all it was. It's It's awesome. And then obviously the contact beam was the coup de grace. I could never have enough ammo for that gun.
Well, that's what was awesome is I picked it up and I didn't know how good it was. So by the time I realized, like, oh man, this is picking Superman in Injustice is what this weapon is.
It's an apt comparison.
It's unfair how great that gun is.
And by the time I figured it out, I had like 50 some odd shots stashed for it. I was like, all right, I guess I'm just gonna ride this for the rest of the game.
Yeah, and it's so satisfying when you get that beam, you get it timed to where you're just always like charge boom, charge boom, charge boom, and you're methodically picking the necromorphs off. And it's awesome.
It's like playing Explodimo.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. It's the biggest equivalent to a rocket launcher in that game.
Yeah, except it's instantly there.
Yep.
Although we're getting away a little. That's a little past first hour.
Yeah.
That intro was awesome, where it starts with the call from Nicole, and then it fades into that sort of Darkness 2 black room. You're at a table in the psych interview.
Yeah.
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 Did you guys catch the line she had that she sort of faded away? She was like, I'm so glad you made me stick with the Ishimura, Isaac. And it was like, oh.
Ugh, that's a knife in the heart, man. That whole, I didn't even know, like, that was a thing, you know? That he was the one that was like, hey, you should totally go and be on the Ishimura. That'd be cool, right?
Yeah, it really, it's a lot like, the first one, it's sort of spooky, and there's, stuff jumping out, and there's Nicole, and she's, ah! But, oh no, actually she wasn't, because you thought she was alive the whole time, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one was a lot more rip your guts out.
Yeah, she was a little crazy.
But you know what? The voice actress didn't go over the top with it, which I really liked. Like, they could have just gone super screamy and distorted for every line, but they were a lot more subtle at points where, like, she's whispering to you on the Ishimura, and then she turns into real Nicole, and of course it's all a trick, but just, oh, he was great.
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys see did you happen to notice in the opening credits there's a dude named Chuck Beaver?
No.
Doesn't that
No,
sound
that
like
that one got by me.
It sounds like an old adventure game, like command line, like Chuck Beaver at pool, you know, like...
It's a solution in, like, Day of the Tentacle.
Yeah, exactly. Chuck Beaver. And then, you get to the next screen.
Yep.
What else did you guys think of that sort of that chapter 1, you wake up, you're seeing credits thing?
So my first reaction was sort of like, okay, you're trusting a voice on the radio. You're trusting again, if you've played Dead Space 1, you're just blindly trusting a person that's telling you what to do. This is not going to end well for Isaac Clarke.
No.
No, that's what the story wasn't that deep.
Yeah.
I mean, you should have known what was coming from the first hour.
Oh yeah, the first hour I was like, this can't go anywhere good.
It's like Wonka's Chocolate Factory. You just know something's wrong.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. There's something behind the scenes going on here. And just going and going. And like, yeah, crisis situation. They got you out of a bad place, but they're just going to take you somewhere worse, man.
Well, the first guy who doesn't even get you out of the straitjacket, but the guy who's trying to take you out tries to kill you immediately because he gets, glommed onto you by the bat thing that turns into a necromorph.
Yeah.
The first
I hated
thing
those
they
things.
do...
Incidentally,
yeah,
those things made me so angry.
They were hard to hit. Harder to hit than everything else.
Target.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were hard to hit and hard to kill, and then they're picking up bodies left and right. And I don't know, maybe you couldn't, but I had the impression that if you'd killed those things quick enough, you wouldn't have had to have fought as many necromorphs.
That's true.
That's true.
Yeah, I can confirm
But I couldn't kill them quick enough. They kept reviving, especially the part at the very beginning of the game where you're in the subway section, and you're in between you're on the subway platform, and then those things come out of the subway car and start picking bodies up. I unloaded I don't know how many shots at it and into it, and it just kept living and then picking people up, and then I have to kill them.
It's almost like the tags animation in BF4 where you can't kill them till they're done with it.
Right.
Well, it's like when you're playing PvP. You always go for the priest first.
Yes. Yeah, you go for their healing.
You kill the healer.
Go for the healer.
Yeah. But I definitely... The atmosphere they set up with that first hour, they start you off in a straitjacket. You're helpless for like that first, what would you say, 5 minutes, 10 minutes?
Nah, it wasn't that. I don't think it was that long.
Well, yeah, it was probably maybe 3 or 4 plus.
It felt like an
that opening sequence, though. Yeah,
it felt like an eternity, but it probably in actual time, it probably really wasn't that long.
Yeah.
But still, what a great way to open the game, man! To handcuff you like that, literally.
I died in that first sequence.
I
did this playthrough. I didn't realize that I was supposed to hook left down the hallway, and I was like, why is this door not opening? And then my throat was cut. Yeah. I was so embarrassed.
Yeah.
I died so many times that at any point in this conversation, we can just talk about me dying. I died at every chapter. Probably every major battle, I died.
That's what games are for. You die, and you know what you're not to do.
That's true.
Well, you know what's really cool about this one, though, is unless you die, not counting the disc change, I don't think there's a loading screen in the whole game.
Nope.
No.
You're right. That's an excellent point.
It's an extraordinarily stark contrast going immediately from the first game to this one, because the first game, it was set up in such a way that they didn't even really mask the loading screen, but they literally just transported you from section to section.
Yep.
Well, I tell you what, I will couch that with a caveat. Every time you get on an elevator, you're in a loading screen.
Yes.
Yeah,
and you rode a lot of elevators.
Yeah.
They do stuff like giving you dialogue during it, and honest to God, the facial, the mocap on the models, that people where you can actually see their face, great, like real good mouth animations and stuff. It didn't look like plastic dummies.
It's very rare to have like a digitally rendered character being able to emote as well as Isaac did, or
even Ellie.
Yeah,
Ellie. Yeah, I mean the sheer terror that they portrayed in their faces were just outstanding.
And just that dead-eyed stare that Isaac would have every time he'd take off the helmet.
Yeah.
He looks so just haggard.
Well, because I think he just kind of woke up.
Yeah.
Because that's the end of what is it? Ignition is you find the stasis chamber and you let Isaac out.
Yeah.
So I don't know how long he's been on the sprawl, but it probably ain't real long.
I think it was like 3 years.
Okay.
That was the time between games, but I don't know. Probably all of that time, Isaac was not on the sprawl.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
Or he wasn't awake.
Yeah.
I think so.
I don't know.
It's just out of the frying pan into the fire.
Mm-hmm.
It's fair to say that none of us are really that into the lore, I'm guessing.
I mean,
nobody's...
I didn't deep dive into it, but I really like it. It's interesting.
I was really into it for a while, but it's so far gone at this point. But
that was going to be my comment, is that it's strange how this game has lended itself to me wanting to know more.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not opposed to going out and finding the books and reading those.
Oh, no, not at all.
Which is odd to think about for a video game.
Mm-hmm. The comics were good. I mean, it's even the DVDs or the Blu-rays that came out with it.
The 2D one was real good. The 3D one was garbage. Stay away.
I don't know.
Ooh, dissension.
No.
It looked... The animation was worse than Reboot.
It was.
Hey,
no, it was really.
You leave Reboot out of this.
Hey, I'd agree with Hannah on that one. And I'm so happy they're bringing it back.
Yeah.
Anyway. No, I really liked the story they conveyed. Like, yeah, the animation was garbage, but the context that it was in and the story it told was awesome.
I didn't love it, but it's more Dead Space lore, and it's not one of those things where I'll run out and try and find stuff to read, and I'm not sitting on the Wikipedia page or Wiki at all, but if I come across some, you're damn right I'm picking it up, because I'm always happy I watched or read or played.
Yeah, I mean, it filled in a pretty good gap in between Dead Space 1 and Dead Space 2 with how Isaac got to the sprawl and everyone else going crazy on the ship with him. Indeed. It also gave you more backstory on the markers and their effect on people. Like, I thought it was really gave me a lot more context.
Was real good.
Yeah, I did like all of that. I picked up every audio log and every other thing I found.
Ooh, I love the crazy audio logs. Yeah. Oh, the crazy so thick.
So, what else we got for first hour impressions, or should we move on to the rest of this game?
I got just expand it. Yeah.
I got 3 little things.
Okay.
The vent sections are super harrowing.
Yeah, that tight space is real spooky.
And they almost never do anything with it.
I was going to say, that was going to be my comment to that, was what did they ever do with the vent sections? To me, that was like another loading screen. You're crawling through vents, and it's like, oh.
It probably was, but it was still like that little tease of like, because in the first game, they chuck stuff into the elevator with you. And I was like, no, this is a safe space.
They did that here once.
Yeah. That's like throwing something into a save room in Resident Evil. It's like, oh, God.
You talk about that safe space.
Mimic.
You talk about that safe space. I didn't feel like Dead Space 2 had one like Dead Space 1. Because every time you get to Dead Space 1 and you get off that tram car, you felt like that first little area was a safe space, that they weren't going to attack anything. It was usually like a subway-type stop. You had a save point, and you had a store, and you had a bench. And then you knew every time you moved chapters that was going to be... Once you got to that point, you were in the clear. Yeah. But you never had that with this game. I never felt like there was a recurring place that you get to, and you go, oh... well, they're not going to attack me here. It did kind of get to the point where you would see a store or a bench and you'd go, oh, I'm all right. But they didn't completely not attack you. I said that convolutedly.
Those stupid polyps were everywhere on the way to any safe space or store.
Hated those things. It was like the oh god, what are they called in Half-Life 2 where they got the tongue hanging down?
Yeah,
Pulse.
yeah.
Yeah, the same basic idea. I would
Seeker rifle, one shot.
Yeah, oh no, that worked, but then
I don't
you
even
missed
waste
the
the bullet.
one on the ceiling that you didn't look for.
Now,
Oh, man, you just
audio
throw a
was
body at 'em.
key.
Yeah.
Audio was so key to hitting those, though, or hearing those. I mean, that's how I identified that those things were around. Otherwise, I wouldn't have seen them.
No,
Did you guys get used to stasising the projectile that they poop out at you?
Didn't even
I just,
No, I didn't even try
stasis it,
that.
But I TK it out of the air.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what I meant. You TK it and throw it back at it.
Oh, nice.
I tried
Okay.
that, and it didn't do anything.
It's
'Cause there's an
quirky timing. It's
Yeah.
a
There's an
quirky
achievement to
timing.
that. And I tried. I grabbed it, and I'd throw it at it, and it would bounce away, and
I would just
whatever,
whip
it
bodies at
explode.
them.
Yeah, that's another good way to do it too.
But the
Luggage,
thing about-
especially that first time you're running. There's so much luggage around the TK.
yeah.
Since we brought up TKing, how much TKing did you all do?
A lot.
Quite a
Like,
bit.
as far as attacking
much.
the necromorphs? Yeah, I didn't do much either.
When I found a canister of the what is it called, stasis on the ground, I would chuck it into a crowd because that was always nice. Those like blue glowing canisters.
Yeah.
I would just whip it at a crowd and just take my sweet time. But other than that, I really just used it for like the puzzle segments.
I use a lot of TK just playing around
Yeah.
with necromorphs, like pulling their actually stabby hands off.
Yeah.
You TK it off and throw it right back at them.
What
I
really
like-
made me mad
yeah.
about that though is I can't tell you how many times I would try and bring a TK item, whether it's some sort of conduit or a claw or whatever, and you try and open the door, and then all of a sudden anything you were holding onto just disappears.
Right.
It happened like 25 times, and I'm not exaggerating. I was getting madder and madder every time, so I used it way more at the beginning instead of towards the end.
Well, then that door clearly had an emancipation grid in front of it. You should have seen that. I mean,
Yeah.
come on.
You put
The funny thing about me and you, Jay-Z, is that I'm the opposite. I almost didn't use TK at all until the end.
Same here.
But the funny thing is, too, I didn't realize that you could grab things with it. So the early point with that subway platform, you go to the opposite. The other part of this I wanted to bring up too is I always went the opposite direction of the line.
Yes.
So the objective line would go right, and I would always go
Yes.
left,
that is
which
the
is a very
mandate.
video game thing to do, right?
But I think
Well, because that's where the
advantage.
goodies are.
Exactly.
That's where the goodie room is.
Right.
That's
right,
the
but it's such a
advantage of the idiot
video
line,
game
though.
thing, right? If you're actually in this situation, you're not gonna go wandering. What's in
I
this
need to
mission
find some
corner?
slacks.
I wish my life had an idiot line.
Oh yeah.
Where am I
So-
supposed to go?
Yeah.
Wink.
What I didn't realize about the TK though, real quick, is that at the subway platform there, on the opposite side of the car you're supposed to get in, is a purple little glowy thing. I think it was probably a circuit board or something.
Yeah.
No.
And I couldn't figure out how to get down onto the tracks to get it. Well, you're not supposed to. You're supposed to TK it.
Yeah.
And it didn't hit me until midway through the game that I could do this.
Didn't you have that same problem playing the darkness?
Yes, I did. It's the same
Yeah.
thing.
It's one of those. I had the same issue. I didn't realize it until there was one thing. It was a node somewhere that I couldn't reach, and I really wanted it. And like, it took me 5 minutes to realize I could just go, oh, grab.
Yeah. Whoomp.
Yeah.
Well, I did that for everything
Yes.
because
I never picked anything up directly off the ground. I just always TK'd everything to me.
Yeah, like those
'Cause
green
it's
boxes.
dangerous.
Yeah, I would grab those green boxes and start chucking them at walls.
I would chuck them at bodies because there are two mandates in this game. You use TK to grab items, and you stomp a mud hole in every body you come across.
Yes.
Like
Yes,
like
you
they
do.
owe you money.
Because they'll pay up.
I love
Sometimes they
putting
pay
the-
out.
I love putting the boots to everything in that game, though.
Oh, it's such a satisfying noise.
that
And like,
sound and squish is
well, and they ramped it up because I played 1 and 2 back to back. You in 1, it's pretty hefty, but in 2, they hit the sweet spot with it.
Oh, and you can do it multiple times and go into a stomp frenzy in two.
Yeah, yeah,
And you start swearing when you get to the fourth or fifth one.
yep.
And well, everything, all the sound in this game. I mean, that's one of the best pieces of this game, if you ask me.
Oh, for
the
sure.
The sound design, it's probably the best I've ever really experienced.
Top notch for sure.
The
even the
Ishimura in
pickups.
particular.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that revisit was harrowing to say the
When
least.
you go back to the Ishimura and I played with headphones on because I had to keep, the noise down in the house. But
Yeah.
man, that made it worse in some ways, because there are just these whispers in the Ishimura. I assume it's what was your chickie baby's name?
Nicole.
Yeah.
Nicole. I assume that was her talking to you, but it's this really low background whisper, and
Well, I had
it
subtitles on,
changes
so
intensity.
that ruins
It
it. Yeah.
creeps. Oh yeah, subtitles on would probably be a detriment in this case.
Yeah, probably.
But I know what she
was
said, and you
just
don't.
uber creepy. And then early on in the game, when you're working through is it like the apartment type complex? Did you all listen at all to the noises going on behind the
God,
doors?
yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
was
disturbing.
bad. Yeah.
That is bloody
Disturbing.
murder. I want to go in there and help you, but you're pretty
Yeah.
much done.
Yep.
They're like individual little dramas, and I don't think I noted any of them on here.
Well, there was the one who was like they were old and they were like, just stay away, and they were just gonna stay there boarded up, I guess, until they starved.
Right.
There was another one. I think this was one of the. It might have been sort of when you have a hallucination, but maybe it was the creepy Twinkle Twinkle Little Star.
Yeah, when you step into that room, that thing just starts spinning.
Yeah, and the graffiti on the wall in blood that says "Mommy's sick."
Yeah.
Is that the one with the family?
Yes.
Yeah,
Where there's like the dad on the couch and the mom's on the bed?
Yep.
and that creepy children's song is so played out by now. But Dead Space 2 is the one who brought it to us, and man, did it work.
Yeah. They did a real good job with that sound.
Well, the other thing that was cool about the Ishimura was it's the D&D Tomb of Horrors, because you know this. If you played the first one, you recognize all these rooms and you go, oh god, I hated that room. Oh, I hated that room. Oh good,
See,
it's the one where they decontaminate you.
Yeah. Oh, when I got back there, I was like, no.
Well, except the first time you go through all of it, nothing happens.
Nothing happens at all.
And then they Tomb of Horrors you, and all the traps go off on your way back out, and it's like, oh, I thought I was getting away with it.
Yeah. Oh, it was real rough.
But it was cool. They even had the old boxes, like the item boxes from the first game.
Well, I think that's more of a consistency in the world itself. Like, this is how things get shipped.
Yeah.
Well, no, but I mean,
was the
yes,
old-
Yeah,
Style.
I know what he means. The
Yeah.
Dead Space 2 had like a more...
the green boxes.
Yeah, they were more green and they were more square.
These were the old sort of flip
They
kind
looked
of
like
army.
original Xboxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if that was just reusing assets or what, but I thought it was a really nice touch.
I think it was an intentional
Now-
callback.
It was really creepy too to see that they were decontaminating the Ishimura.
Yes.
so
They had,
everything
the
is like-
plastic
The
up.
the plastic and the red tape was so well done.
Well, and all
Yeah.
the warnings on all the walls.
Yeah.
That and the propaganda signs coming back, I was real happy about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
the
lo-
propaganda says was really good. The other thing I loved the most, like, it's such a little touch on the Ishimura, is the luminescence when you put your flashlight over stuff. Like, it would glow for a second until you went past it.
Yeah.
Wasn't
Wasn't there a whole room in the Ishimura that
Had
was
all the
glowing?
black lights, yeah. The hallway.
Yeah, like all those black lights sort of thing.
It was the part they hadn't got to start cleaning yet, so they had to have the black
Right.
lights up so they could know where to clean.
Yeah.
Right.
Which was everywhere.
Yeah.
This is a Jackson Pollock painting.
Yeah. What do we need to clean? The hallway.
Yes.
Just
Which part? The floor? Everything.
just flood it with bleach.
Here's
Let
your
it
bleach.
sit for a few days.
Have at it.
Yeah.
You're gonna
So
need
that,
some ammonia. Take care of that blood.
that was kind of all my big stuff. You guys got anything else that jumps out to you?
So I want to say I really liked the navigation system, like the idiot line. I know we sort of mentioned it, but the fact that they took it, the original had it, they took it to the next level with this one. 'Cause
Yeah.
not only could you get your next objective, but you could find the nearest store, save point, and everything, just like everything else. You could find
Yeah,
all that
I
stuff
like that.
in a minute.
I like that. You got the objective, you got the store, you got a bench, and
Yes.
you got a save point. I like that idea, but implemented, I didn't think it was real useful. Because at no point in the game was I like, oh, I really need to get to a save point. Where's the nearest one?
You know what? There was one or two times where I was, playing right
church.
before I had to go somewhere, and I needed to get to a save point because I had made some progress. I don't want to lose all this, so I would, okay, pull up a save. Like, it makes sense for a save point. The
I guess
store and
what
the
I'm
bench
trying
were
to get
sort of
at
extraneous, though.
is that they place the save points well enough that I never felt like I was lost to go get one.
That's true. Yeah.
Either I played for like 5 more minutes and I found one, or I had just passed one and I could turn around and go back and save.
Yeah, that's true.
I just
The
didn't
church
find it
was
like
a really
I was
good-
lost.
The church, I think, is where that shines when you sort of get into the mind
elevator
brainwashing
is.
area.
Yeah.
Because it's
Yeah.
sort of you're unlocking doors and it's okay. Am I back in this hub? Where was the bench? Because I got 3 more nodes now. It wasn't. I mean, I probably only used it one more time after that in the game, but it's. I'm glad they threw it in. Mm-hmm. I'd like to see more of that. It was handy.
I'm directionally just dumb. Like, I couldn't tell you which. I'm sitting in my house right now. I know where all the streets are in relation to me. I still couldn't tell you which way is north, south, east, or west.
What?
I'm terrible at it.
What?
Yeah, I know.
Apparently you are.
Yeah. So, it's a good thing to have. And Jay-Z, you brought up the church. That was probably one of my favorite set pieces in that game. That church, it was
I have a
so
big
well
list of set
designed.
pieces, but yeah, it was awesome. Did the main lobby remind you of Karazhan at all?
A little bit. Yeah.
With the sort of
I can see that.
armchairs in the columns looking down on the stage kind of thing? I thought that was
Yeah.
So yeah, I made a note or two in the church, the unitology part. And the one that got me to chuckle is there's a point where you have to cut the fuses. Mm-hmm. And then there's a voice that comes over and says, "Vandalism in the church is not permitted."
Yeah.
Which, I don't know, just struck me as funny at the time.
That's like a Demolition Man thing.
And the other note that I had was there was an altar, like a funeral chapel going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there was money on either side that you could pick up, and I have to say I felt a little odd about that. It almost felt like you're stealing from the dead type of thing.
Yeah.
You've
Even
been
though maybe the
stomping
whole
money
rest
out
of the
people's
game is you're
guts for an
stomping.
hour.
I know. That's why I made a note of it, because when I took the money, I was like, oh, I feel a little weird about that. And then I reflected, and I was like, well, here I am stomping people and taking ammo from them and stuff like that.
There's no ritual surrounding that, but when you're at a funeral,
Right.
there's a whole thing. There's a whole set of stuff
Right.
happening there. On
I was
another level.
completely morally ambiguous. I grabbed it. I didn't
Oh
care.
yeah, me too. I mean,
Oh, I
it's not
took
gonna
it. Don't get
stop
me wrong. I took it and spent it.
It'd been funny if there was an achievement for leaving it there.
Well, it made me wonder that, though.
Yeah.
But then it dropped you back down after you got through that. It dropped you down into those cryotubes, which was intense.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
And you knew
yeah.
what was going to happen.
What section
and
was
they
this?
Still dragged it out.
When
Right
you're
after the
there's
church.
the one from the demo. Like, you go through the church, you go down into where it has all the unitology people, like, they're all frozen, right, and to become...
Oh,
Active
yeah. That's right. You know what? I found that to be a little repetitive.
Because, I mean, you had, like, 3 or 4 hallways that were all the same.
Right,
And
right.
you never knew which one a Necromorph was going to pop out of.
So
Right.
speaking of hallways being the same, let's go back a few weeks. I've just played PT and been traumatized by that, and I'm playing Dead Space 2 and I'm seeing the same hallway 3 times. I almost had a little heart attack.
Rule of 3. You only see it 3 times.
There were no sink babies, I hope.
No sink babies this time, thankfully. Oh God, still having nightmares. Yeah, just the big set pieces in this game are so well done.
I got a big old list of them.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead and start reading them because I'm sure I've got all the same ones.
Oh, the zero-G sequence right after that, and that big
Yes.
fan. Like, that whole set's amazing.
All the zero-G stuff. They managed to improve on the zero-G stuff from the first game because the zero-G stuff in the first game was just okay. It's zero gravity. You've got I assume you have some sort of like magnetic boots on. You're just literally jumping from surface to surface.
Right.
In 2, you literally have little air jets that you can use to just manipulate yourselves, in full 3D space.
Well, and actually, they gave you
Fighting Tyson.
yeah, they gave you I think it was the left bumper, or maybe it
Right
must have been the
bumper.
right bumper,
Right
because I
bumper
can't tell you how
orientated
many
you to the ground.
times I can't tell you how many alt fires I shot just trying to reorientate myself to the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I thought the zero-G stuff was so well done. Mm-hmm. And I thought it added to the game. They had enough of it that it was cool when it was there.
Yeah.
But it wasn't too much that you were just done with it.
My favorite 2 were the one where you had to actually kill all the oxygen in the area to put out the fire. That was a really.
Oh, you know what? I have a note on.
Yeah.
I have a note on that.
Yeah?
Because I'm a science geek. There's this gigantic fire burning.
Yeah.
Right, and then there's 100% oxygen, and you have to pull the power
power
sources,
nodes,
and then
yeah.
it cuts the oxygen level, right? Well, first of all, if it's pure oxygen, it's not going to burn because it can't burn in pure oxygen. That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
There's a balance you have to strike between the oxygen level and everything else.
And nitrogen
and so,
all that, yes.
Yeah, your little triangle of fire.
Correct. And there's a point at which you get too much oxygen and it doesn't burn.
Mm-hmm.
And so that whole sequence, from my science background, just struck me wrong. But I get what they were doing. I understand. And I agree. It was very cool to do that.
Well, it's like when Spider-Man fights Electro at the generator. No, too much power. You know, that's how you do it.
Yeah, and the other one was when you had to move those like booby-trapped like satellites or whatever they were, and get down.
Solar arrays.
What's that?
The solar arrays? Oh no, you're talking about the lasers. Yeah.
Yeah, where you're gonna trip those mines or whatever they are, and you have to take those valves and like attach them to stuff, and then
The
bust
little
them.
rocket thing?
Yeah.
And then move the lasers out of the way.
Yep. That was a fun sequence.
Which,
like, those are nice
incidentally,
little puzzles.
That sequence there is there's a giant thing that you fight that is shooting at you, right? And it's got. Did you get close enough to that to realize that there's a person in there?
No.
What?
Huh.
Okay, so you didn't get close enough.
No,
there's
he got
several of
contact
these, right?
beam from orbit.
There's several of these things, and they throw these little projectiles at you that heat seek and kind of find you, and then they've got 3 glowing big pustule balls that you have to shoot, and they move real fast, right? I had to kinesis them to slow them down.
Yes.
But if you get close enough, it's a person that has been necromorphed into this thing,
Whoa.
Oh,
and it's creepy. It's unbelievably creepy.
oh
is
biorecombinators suck.
Yeah.
There was. I'll just rattle off the list real quick.
Yeah,
Plasma
go for it.
cutter surgery was
Yes,
awesome.
that was cool.
Hanging
Plasma
upside
cutter
down.
surgery. Wait. Slow down. What was that?
When you first get your plasma cutter,
Yeah, it's in
there's
the
a dude who's being
thing.
operated on when you walk in.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah.
He's like, "What are you doing, man?"
It's like, I need this. Just pulls the plasma cutter
Yeah,
out of the
okay.
surgical bot, and it's like, this is mine now.
Yeah.
Okay,
Like,
yeah.
sorry, that's a tough break, man. Hanging
Maybe
upside
that's
down
why
from
it
the
was
train.
weaker.
Probably.
It's not a mining tool.
Yeah.
It's you just cutting straight through bones. Just oops.
Yeah, how much power do you need to get through it? Whatever.
Hanging upside down from the train, which
Oh yeah, let's
Last of
talk
Us.
about that.
Last of Us took a big bite out of that.
Yeah, I praised that exact sequence on when I was on TVGP talking about The Last of Us. I didn't realize they lifted it from here. They
Oh,
may
yeah.
have, okay, alleged they may have lifted it from here, or it was influenced by that, but that was cool.
I love that train car ride leading up to that.
Yes.
Really
It
felt
was-
like you
it
were
was
going
predictable.
super fast.
No, that's exactly. It had a good sense of speed to it. It was predictable. You knew what was going to happen. You're in a train car in a Dead Space game.
yeah.
I mean, you pretty much. But even that didn't matter. It was still good and fun. And then you get to the end, and I didn't see the part. I didn't see this coming where you're hanging upside down. Literally, everything is upside down.
Mm-hmm.
And then trying to aim and shoot things. It took me a good 5 or 6 tries to be able to get past that point,
Well, then they dropped the train on you almost.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Just the
which was crazy. Yeah.
the sort of transitions that most games would put a QTE into it and make you start mashing buttons. And this game had its fair share of QuickTime event stuff, but they really did a good job of letting the transitions, letting you watch them instead of having to play them because they were cool. It's
yeah.
not you're in Resident Evil 4 trying to run away from a boulder, but you can't see how cool the boulder's moving or what the path looks like because you're too busy mashing A or. I think they did an awesome job with that.
And that's another thing they did completely through all 3 of the games is they never let the game get in the way of seeing something cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a feat. I mean, there's
Yeah,
an
that's an
art
excellent
to that.
point. That's an excellent point. Because as Jay-Z just mentioned, games like Resident Evil 4, you've got something big going on. You're too busy trying to look for the QuickTime event to take it in, to really absorb it.
Yeah,
Well,
you're waiting for that button prompt, and in this, I mean, I'm just waiting to get control back because there's certain stuff happening in the cutscenes where I'm like, all right, they're going to drop me back in, and I'm going to have control, and I'm going to have to do something. But you're not doing a QuickTime event; you're just getting dropped back into the game suddenly.
Yeah.
Lords of Shadow killed me with that, where they had all these awesome set pieces, and it was like I can't look at any of them because I might insta die.
Yeah.
There's the Unitologist Church, obviously.
Yeah. So cool, and such a just like you can click the little signs and that hallway with like the different
the stained glass.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
It's
And it gives you the
Epcot Center
backstory.
for zombies.
Yeah.
Now, my complaint really is that this unitology thing didn't go anywhere. Right? It didn't play into anything.
Well, weren't they? Oh, I guess it was GovSec or whatever that was making the new marker.
Right.
Well, it was.
doesn't-
Because they
No.
were Unitologists.
Oh, that's right.
No.
No,
No?
they're what the with the
Oh.
with
no,
the
I
lot the
remember.
lore is that the different marker, the black marker they found on
Yes.
whatchamacallit, on whatever planet, the planet
Ages
cracker.
7?
Ages 7, yeah.
Nice
And
pull.
then they found the red marker on Earth. And that's the one they transport, and it's huge.
See, I thought there was something in Dead Space 2 that I saw that said the red marker was made, not
They were
found.
I thought
making
the black
another
one was made.
No, the red marker was definitely found because that's the plot point from Extraction.
Okay,
Yes.
but it was found on Aegis 7, but it was made
Yes.
on Earth and put there by
Okay, maybe.
Earth's government.
Again,
That
this is
was-
lore that. Yeah, I have no idea about lore.
But yeah, but I thought the Unitology, like it's just this batch of crazy, like how infectious religious views were to make these
Right.
people think that that's what it was, and why there were so many people in those pods in that cryotech hallway that made them want to ascend was the whole purpose of it.
It was
Okay.
a really neat section of the game. I was just a little surprised that it didn't tie in a deeper way past that point. Once you get past the church, it's pretty much gone, right? It's not really brought up.
Well, it is kind of here and there. There's a part later in the apartments where you know how they had the projector in the church where it was sort of the welcome room, like we
Yeah.
need to feed you all this crap, the 1984 style, like, and there's a coffee machine and a couple of folding chairs. Oh, and the weird profilers. Did you guys find the text log on them profiling the one dude to see if he would stick with the cult?
Yeah, no, I did find a couple of those. They sort of it was very creepy because it just sort of listed out like this guy's personality and like traits, and it just says, okay, you know, get him up to
Oh,
this
that's
level,
right.
and he'll contribute this much money.
Yeah.
Right.
and it
But
was
then
very-
he's gone, so don't invest too much.
Yeah,
in it.
so don't invest in him past this point. It was very,
Right.
it's very, and the whole Unitology thing is very much a condemnation of the practices of Scientology,
Yeah.
Oh,
which it's just the
Gonna get sued.
direct, whatever. It's a direct. I don't know if you would call it parody, satire, or homage, but it's clearly
Influenced.
by- yeah.
Well, then,
it's all the
you
same
saying that-
keystones.
you're saying that. I was going to say this, which was my segue before you brought that up, but now we're really going to get sued. Because talking about how it comes up later in the game, there was a projection in one of the apartments, which is after the church, and I couldn't tell if it was supposed to be a first communion or someone marrying a child bride.
Ooh, that's a thing you might want to clarify.
Yeah, and I was like, that's not very... That's ambiguous, guys.
Yeah. So I'm looking at the Dead Space wiki here, and they say the red marker is a reverse-engineered copy of a black marker. So, if memory serves me correct, the scientists on Earth reverse-engineered a red marker from the original black marker and placed it on Aegis 7. The Ishimura was on an illegal mining operation and cracked Aegis 7, unleashing the red marker, the necromorphs, and the hive.
Got it.
Lore!
Ha!
All right, so let me throw out a set piece here. Since I'm the only one I think in the group, right, with kids, this section struck me way creepier than maybe it struck you guys.
It's next
it was
on
the
my
start
list. Yep.
The start of chapter 3, where
Oh.
you walk into the elementary section with the school, and having just had a daughter start elementary school, this whole section was a little tough.
Yeah, I'd imagine, man.
Because I was like, well, okay, I walk in and my notes say an expletive, an elementary kid section, and then I'm like, oh, another expletive, mutant kids, because I just couldn't believe they went there.
Yeah, oh, they went there.
Oh.
They went
And then
beyond the
they went a
kids.
step further.
Yeah.
Then they went a step further with the babies, the little
Yeah.
babies,
The
and I was
way
like,
they
really?
introduced the babies is incredible.
Oh,
where it's all sealed off and there's glass and it's like a classroom and you see one of the teachers trying to coax this necro baby into her arms and then it gets close and all the windows just go red.
Yeah.
Oh,
just red goo.
Don't
But they introduce it. They foreshadow that because there is a text log before that point. If you pick it up, it lists the names of like the under X age kids.
Oh wow!
It's super creepy. Like they totally set that up for just being like, oh, those are people's children.
Well, even that, like, it's just that whole section was just pure nightmare fuel.
Oh yeah.
Like, even, like, later in, when you get into the gym, you just know something bad's gonna happen.
Oh, God,
they were having a play. It was the Christmas event. Like,
and then that sun scared me every time I played.
Oh, when it falls down,
Yeah.
you're walking behind the set.
You're walking backstage, and just the friendliest cartoon picture of the sun is just like, hey, buddy.
Now, on that note, that brings up something I was going to kind of complain about. Is I wrote early on in my notes, in the second chapter, I said the monster in the closet scare is already old. The beginning of that game relies too much on this jumping out of a hole or a vent. And just, bah, getting you. And I don't think the game needs that. The game is so creepy on its own. It doesn't need to hang on all this monster in the closet stuff.
I think it built on the tension that you knew that was coming, and it was almost like a little tongue-in-cheek thing, but they spring it on you so late after the point you think you've already passed it.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say.
I think it was more of a game of timing than it was actual for the purpose of getting a jump scare out of you.
It was more emphasis than anything. I do agree with you, Scott. It did get a little tired by probably about the 2/3 point in the game. I was sort of like, all right, something's going to jump. All right, yeah, it's dead now.
What's interesting, though,
that's
is
not a cool
that
feeling. I like going, all right, something's totally going to come out of that. And then it does, and it's dead before its feet hit the ground. Like, I like that.
Okay, yeah.
Here's the emotional thing, though, that I'm complaining about, is that early on in the game, it got me. You know, they jumps out, and I'll be, oh. But then after that happens so much in the early part of the game, the later stages of the game, it had no effect on me at all.
But they were so good at mixing up the spots and keeping your timing off. You know, like they would give you a jump scare.
What I'm saying is, if you look at the whole elementary school area in particular, the whole thing is so creepy in and of itself that they didn't need to have something jump out of a vent at me. Like, for example, walking into one room in particular, and you just hear the babies making noises, and you're like, oh, it's coming. And, you know, the babies start crawling out of vents, but they don't jump out at you in a jump scare. They just start coming at you, and you're like, oh.
Well, it's two different types of tension. I think they used them both really well. Because the thing is, you know, even as you start to get towards the second half of the second third or whatever, you know, okay, this is a room that has a layout wherein something will jump out of a wall. But then they'll mix it up. They'll have something jump out of the, get your attention in front of you. And then, like 7 or 8 seconds after that guy triggers, they'll have a door open behind you, and two will come running in from out of frame, and it's like, oh, this just got real bad. I maybe I'm dumb, but they did a really good job of keeping me.
No, I don't think you're dumb. I just
well, that's part of the thing that the game is so engaging that it lent itself to those off-camera things throwing you for a loop. When you're expecting to come out of vents and then they come out of the hallway at you, you're like, oh, what's going on? I thought it was coming from here.
Maybe I'm just not. Maybe I didn't see them coming as much as you guys. I mean, the real easy ones I'd spot.
Yeah,
but
I'm with you,
surprised a lot.
Jay. I'm with you.
I definitely
I'm not saying I saw them coming and I knew that they were going to happen, because there were times that I was convinced something was going to happen and it didn't.
Same here.
But I just mean the emotional effect it had on me wore thin by the end of the game.
It no longer had the same impact.
I guess another example would be the Ishimura sequence. That whole sequence is so creepy in and of itself that you don't need the jump scares, I didn't think.
Well, what about the flashback scares they had in that area too?
Oh, I love those.
Those
were great.
Those I could have done without.
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez. We
So
could not
that,
have more opposite opinions. Of
So we
Yeah.
were talking about that crypt, that hallway where they got the cryogenics. I fully expected by the time I went around that same hallway the third time, I was fully expecting Nicole to jump out and just be like, "Ha ha ha, gotcha," and just be like, you go around it a bunch of times, and she just like finally lets you back into where you're supposed to be. I expected that to be a hallucination.
Mm-hmm.
Like a creepy version of the Benny Hill theme, like they did with Twinkle Twinkle. You guys running around that loop.
It was.
I was hoping Wheels on the Bus go round and round at some point.
One of my favorite parts about the game was the flashback hallucination scenes and how suddenly they would come upon you. You'd be walking through something, and bam, one of those would show up.
Yeah, those were really well implemented because I never saw those coming. Like I'd walk in somewhere and go, it's one of these. Oh, okay.
What was cool on them for me, and maybe it's because it's my third, fourth playthrough. Maybe I'm inured to him. But what got me this time was, I had the subtitles on, like I do with every game. So when stuff started going a little orange, and thank God it didn't go Deus Ex orange, it started going a little orange, and I'm just going to read this and keep looking around the room for whatever I need to open or whatever door I need to cover when Nicole stops talking. I'm going to find that while she's talking. But they put her in weird spots sometimes, and that would freak me out because I'm looking around this room and all of a sudden I look up a little bit and she's perched on top of a file cabinet just out of,
Yeah.
and then there go 4 plasma cutter shots into the wall.
Just,
Yeah, that was good. There was a couple more. We did the baby's room.
Yep.
The vent. Oh, I wanted to say one more thing about the vent. Yes, they might have been loading screens, and yes, you couldn't. They never got you with them. But what they did was when he crawls out of the vent, it's a close-up shot, and all you can see is Isaac crawling out of the vent and the wall behind him. And they.
Oh yes, I'm glad.
And
you
they
brought
make
this up.
good on it. They make good on it in that one room where, from out of frame, Necromorph, bam, clamps right onto you.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
And they only do it once, which is all you need.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to mention that too. Every time he got out of a vent and every time the camera panned around behind his back, I was like, there's something going to get me.
Exactly.
And it didn't, and it didn't, and it didn't. And I was like, okay, maybe it doesn't.
And they
And
wait
about
just
the time
enough
I thought
for you to
that.
get comfortable. Yes. And they
Yeah, it
also
was
had
really
the
well
Event
done.
Horizon vent. Do you guys remember that? The one with all the green lights in it looked out like it was out of Event Horizon.
I think I
The one you had to rotate back and forth to get to the two rooms.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I do
That one
remember
took
that
me a
room.
minute to
Yeah.
figure out because I went back out of that and was like, okay, I can. What?
And then the last set piece is obviously the pupil poker.
Oh, dude.
What is it with the eyeball stuff, man? Why does everybody have to have their eyeballs poked out?
It's the window
Because
to the
it's
soul,
the gateway
man.
to the soul.
Yeah. Hey,
What?
You got it.
It's given me our show title. We don't do show titles, but we have to do one this time. And it needs to be The Blinding of Isaac.
Oh, come on.
Come on!
I will consider it. we should do Doctor Strangelove style titles.
Right. Now there was the
TVGP
rim
Game
shot.
Club 23, Dead Space, or The Blinding of Isaac.
I'd be on board with that.
Boo.
Those are all the set pieces I had.
I think we might have a new tradition here. So easily my favorite set pieces were everything that took place in Zero G. Everything. Just every time you were in Zero G, they make good on it, which is amazing.
I did love the solar panels one only because it was so big. Just the space you're in. Well, you're literally in outer space, but it felt like this sphere that you could enter.
Yeah.
It was too large, and I felt kind of distracted. But the rest of them, I loved.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I liked how big that was because it gave you this sense of just like absolute dread. Because you got a couple spots where you can go get oxygen, but other than that, you got to get to that mirror, and it just felt like it was so grand and so large when you're positioning these huge solar panels.
But maybe that's why I didn't like it. Because now that I think about it, the reason I probably didn't like it is because I just felt so tiny and insignificant. Because I'm next to a planet out in space. And I guess that's what they were going for, and it must have worked because I just have a visceral reaction to.
You don't like that
Wow,
pale blue
you're
dot
on
photo, huh?
fire.
It's terrible. But yeah, that I think with the major set pieces stuff, I think we hit most of my big points. I mean, the revisit to the Ishimura is how you go. Like when they first like, all right, you're going back to the Ishimura, I was like, oh, we're gonna do that. We're gonna revisit the set from the first game.
I had
I
had the same apprehension.
Yeah, and then I got in there, and I was like, oh, and then you walk into that first room where you come in the first game, and you're like, oh. Ew.
And they've boarded off all the walls. So like they did a really. I was nervous, and to be fair, I think the Ishimura sequence could have stand to have maybe 10 minutes chopped off of it. But aside from that, they did a really.
It could have had like a whole section, dropped or something. It did feel like a little long.
Even if you lose the, and I explored every crevice because you got to go by the bathrooms. Because that's part of the first game where horrible things happen, as you would expect. It's all space food. But yeah, like maybe if they just chopped one of those sort of 4 discrete sections, it would have moved a little quicker. Yeah. But they did a really good job of
that's such a
walling
nitpick,
off.
though.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's the part that stuck out the most for me in that section was going down that long corridor that was quartered off so many times in Dead Space 1, and having it a straight shot, almost like you couldn't see the end of it.
Yes,
yeah,
and then, I loved that.
And then thinking like something bad's gonna happen in here,
and then something bad happens,
and then seeing that brute knocking over everything in its way, like lumbering at you like a beast. Was just such a great moment.
Oh, in the rail station when you're walking down the subway tracks. The big open tunnel area.
I think that's what it is. Yeah.
Maybe.
Contact
beam.
Yeah,
that's what it was. Contact beam.
Yeah, contact beam.
But yeah, just like that sense of dread you get walking down there because you know it's more of that atmosphere, more of that just really great, well put together. Like, yeah, that's what's gonna happen.
It brought back all those like feelings from the first game.
Yeah.
In such a condensed area, I didn't think that overstayed its welcome at all for me.
There always
for me that was such a nitpick. I mean, to be talking about that is almost a disservice because it was really good
at scope.
Yeah. Well,
because Ishimura felt very small, and then you get out to that subway area where you're running down the track, and it felt gigantic again. Like,
but speaking of nitpicks, I think that segues wonderfully into our next segment here. What could have been better with this game? I feel like this is gonna be a real hard one for this game. But
I thought that giant mining truck thing lasted way too long.
Yes, but mining through that just like
the flesh tunnel.
Yes.
Oh,
the flesh tunnel.
We're gonna have to bleep that out. There's one every show. Sorry,
one every show. Where are we at on here? About hour 33. Mark that down.
I think Boss would have let that one ride.
No, that's fine. No, I agree with you that section at the end there with the mining car. I don't know that was as strong as the rest of the game.
No. Yeah. But that fight the fight
it was
on
cool
top
to turn around and see Ellie driving it though. I liked that.
Yeah, she's on the dime, loaded up and trucking. But
well, I couldn't figure out why we couldn't get in the cage too with her in the driver's seat because nobody attacked her.
Yeah, no,
they didn't.
Why did we have to ride outside?
Not even the baby monsters went after her.
It's like National Lampoon's Vacation. He's riding on the roof.
I felt like I was Clark on stage getting punched in the face by the guys in the lederhosen. Like that entire ride. Like it was just dumb.
It was a little. I think my only problem with that section was the build up to like getting that thing moving. I feel like just stumbling across that and going, okay, let's hop on top of this, and then maybe shrinking that cab. So okay, you're gonna have to ride outside. Could have improved that section.
Yeah.
Now, how do you not complain about the end of the game right before the final boss fight?
Oh, moving the marker around?
You had to move? No, that's the end of the first game.
Oh.
That's the end of the first game.
Yeah.
The end of this game, the end of the second game is, I think, ruined by the fact that there's a necromorph that chases you that can't be killed.
Yeah.
I hated that. Yeah. Hated it.
It was a nice callback to the first game because it was that same sort of fight but there was no end to that.
What about? I don't know if this got you guys, but the opening doors with bodies thing. They used it once for the bird guy, and it was awesome. And then you have to do it again in that chase sequence, and I had completely forgotten about it my first playthrough. I sat in that room. I probably dropped all my ammo on that thing in probably 25 minutes trying to figure out how to get out.
Oh, yeah. No, I remember
I hated the fact that he was just constantly there pursuing.
Yeah.
Because up to that point, the game had been so much about backing into a corner, killing everything, and then exploring and looking around. And I guess they didn't want that.
On that guy.
It did add. It added some nice tension to that endpoint. It gave you sort of a reason to keep marching forward.
Which I guess is what they were going for, but I hated it.
I don't know if I hated it.
And I hated the very last tunnel as you're leading up to the final save point and then the final boss fight. I didn't attack much of anything, and there's like a series of hallways that you wind yourself back and forth through, and I just ran through all of that.
Well, that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, but I didn't like it. I didn't like it.
You felt so you would say don't rush the ending as much.
Well, no, it definitely had a deliberate push for you to get to the end of the game.
Yeah, it felt like all of a sudden there's this, figuratively and literally, a giant push to get to the end. And I don't know that I liked it. I didn't.
It works contrary to that mining car thing. Like it felt like you were it was whole hog. You're beelining right to the end.
Yeah.
Wherever else you had time to kill everything and explore. And it felt like that area was, especially with the marker going off, you wanted to look at everything in there, but you were so forced through it.
And I guess that was the point, is that they wanted to develop some urgency to get you to the end.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I just didn't like it.
It's the Halo you're driving the warthog as the entire world falls apart thing.
The flood.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is. I do have to admit, they could have just kept. I think it would have been more effective had they done something like the flood, like just there's tons of necromorphs coming at you because it's the convergence.
Well, that gets to one of my beefs.
But instead, they just opted to go with this single, overwhelming enemy.
Yeah, great. Here's the Juggernaut.
Yeah.
That actually ties to one of my beefs, which is I'm glad they didn't do that, because one of the things I hated was, and they only kind of do it one other time, it's the third time you show up in that, in sort of the hub travel center, and the air all goes out, and Ellie, runs off with Strauss, and it just, dudes keep coming and keep coming and keep coming, and it takes probably a good 90 seconds for Ellie to go, you can't kill all these guys, you're not going to clear this room out, you need to leave.
Yeah.
When it doesn't do that almost anywhere else in the game. And that's where I dropped it down from hard to normal, because I said, this is stupid. Like, I'm not going to keep dying here because I have to just stand around in a gauntlet for 60 seconds.
Yeah.
Nope.
It was a little rough. Even on easy, I was like, "Wow, there's a lot of dudes. How am I gonna?" And then she yells out, and I was like, "Oh, okay." So I just run.
Yeah.
To me, that's like a big glowing double dragon, golden arrow, bling bling bling. Like you need to make it absolutely unmissable for me to not feel like I wasted my time and precious ammo on all these guys.
So I thought it was strange, the end of the first disc switched to the second disc, that they didn't do that at a save point.
That was a little weird.
Yeah, just loaded on the fly.
You just got in an elevator or something, you went down or up or whatever, and then it was like put in disc 2, and I was like, whoa, I didn't save it. Hang on.
Yeah.
It's like the Genesis original X-Men game where you have to reset the console.
Yeah.
I was shocked when it told me to put in disc 2. I'm like, I can't be done with disc 1 yet, can I?
Well, and that's where it gets you, because it was right after. I think that's the first brute in the game, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where if it's your first playthrough, you barely survive that.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why I was like, I want a save point, or at least I want a prompt. I want something to know that I'm not going to have to redo this.
Yep.
Because I just imagined going up to it and ejecting my tray or something, and the system resetting in some bizarre glitch and
Have
Dead Space
Milton
Disc
laugh at you.
yeah.
Dead Space Disc 2 needs to update. It's a title update. We're taking you back to the home screen.
Woof. Sounds like something that would happen on the 360, though.
Yeah. Speaking of the home screen, I had a beef with the DLC packs, the ones that I didn't get for free, because you have no idea what they're actually supposed to do. They're just like, hey, here's a weapon. Here's the name of it, and that's it.
Yeah.
And it didn't tell you anything about them.
Most of those were
Strange.
glorified skins.
They were, but yeah, maybe that's why they made it so.
I would say,
Dark to figure out.
as far as the rest of the game went, a little more introduction to Tideman, the sort of big bad sort of the game. A little more interaction with him would have been nice. It was very sparse. So I don't even think we've talked about the story of this game at all, which is not surprising for us. But
We tried it once and it went real bad.
Yeah.
I got to tell you about the
legend.
story though. I had the vaguest idea of what was going on until after the game was over and I read the Wikipedia plot summary.
I had a pretty good handle on things throughout most of the game until you got to when Strauss took out Ellie's eye. And then I was just like, why? Okay, whatever, I'm done.
Well, I thought it was great because they built to that.
They did. Oh, yeah.
They
telegraphed
had
it
him
from
go crazy. It was
minute
great.
one.
Well, yeah, minute one. I mean, you like Strauss was, and then you like harboring back to the Blu-ray that Aftermath.
Yeah.
You realize why he's so bananas because he was a normal dude in the start of that film.
Okay, so there's some supplemental material here. You're
Yes.
saying. Okay. Maybe I'll watch that. I'd like
Homework
to see
class. Homework.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it again once we're done here because I'm missing bits and pieces because I found myself annoyed with the animation at the beginning of it. And towards the end of it, I was like, this thing's awesome.
I was really bummed that they're not on Netflix. Because that's
that
where I
is a
saw
bummer.
both of them, and I went to go check them after I beat the game, and I was like, oh, am I going to go drop $19 on these? Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, come over. You can watch them over here.
It's just a short 7-hour drive.
I own everything.
You really do. But yeah, I mean, the story in this game is definitely good. I have no complaints about it. I just feel like some of the characterizations, other than Isaac was really well formed, but like Tideman was sort of one-dimensional, just sort of like, I'm the government and I'm evil.
Right. Strauss was just crazy.
Strauss was just crazy, but like you knew that up front. Like they weren't messing around with that. Like Strauss was like, "Hey, I'm crazy. Guess what? I'm gonna probably stab somebody in the face." And
Well, that's
indeed
the second.
he does.
It's the second screen of the game.
Yeah.
Like after you get to that room before you lose the straitjacket, that's him on the screen that they're talking to.
Yep.
Yeah, and I really liked Ellie's character a lot.
I like that she's not that she doesn't implicitly trust you.
No,
Well,
not at all.
that and she wasn't helpless. Like that was the
Yeah.
best thing about her.
That was a huge point.
Can we give it up for no escort missions?
Yep.
Yeah.
give it up for no escort mission?
Because
man.
there were a lot of opportunities where some lesser developer would go, let's do an escort mission.
Well, Ellie did all the escort missions.
Yeah, she
Right,
did the escort
right.
mission off screen, and that's how you do it. You keep that
You know,
stuff to the NPCs.
in a way, that's such an opportunity for DLC.
Oh
is to
yeah.
Release an Ellie pack where you're having to tote Strauss around with you, and he's going nuts. I mean, there's an opportunity there.
And it seems like an opportunity any other EA at any other time would have taken.
Yeah.
2011 EA did not take that opportunity, which is a badge of honor in their favor.
Yeah, but the DLC they released wasn't very good either.
Yeah, but you know what? Given what was on the disc, you can't really complain too much about bad DLC that you have to pay for, so you're not necessarily gonna play.
No, but
One thing you at the time could have griped about was the online pass, because this game does have multiplayer. I don't know if anybody touched it. I
yep,
didn't.
I did.
We did on Mondays.
Oh yeah.
A few times. Going
Left 4
back, it was
Dead,
hard.
yeah.
It's tough to go home.
Okay.
Scott, were you
Sorry,
playing?
Scott.
Were you playing on the Xbox One? Is it
No,
backward
I was-
compatible?
No, I was playing on the 360.
Oh, okay, because when I was doing my finish this up session, I saw you popped on, started playing Dead Space, and then I hit the button, and it was like Xbox One, and I was like, really? Like, it's that much that I can't even tell that he's playing a 360 game because he's playing on a
No.
one? Okay.
No, I've got my 360 piped through my Xbox One, so
Nice.
to have my 360 on, I have to have my Xbox One on, which is probably what confused it.
Yeah, it probably the Xbox One probably supersedes the 360 as online status.
Yeah, that's just how the pass-through works.
Yeah. But yeah, back to things that could be improved. Did anybody else have any other major ones?
I had a couple things. I was mad that I couldn't bring Mega Man's head with me.
Mega Man's head?
The burgers kind
The
of
burger guy, yeah.
They're big boy.
Oh yeah. I remember him now. Okay.
You can shoot his head off, and
Didn't know
then
that.
there's no enemies to throw his head at.
I know.
That's such
I was
a
so
bummer.
mad, so I tried bringing it in the next room, and it was like blink. There was the what did you call it from Portal?
Emancipation Grid.
Yeah, like it was either that or I had to throw him in a furnace before I could proceed. There was just a couple of lines of dialogue that I was kind of like, meh. One of them was Ellie's speech. When you get to the second or third time to one of these rooms, and the voice acting and the writing was just wonderful for it. Really, like, it gave me the feels, She's so upset that, like, this is where she started her day. Where you've gotten to, for the second or third time, is where she started her morning when everything started to go down. And she's on the verge of tears, just like, all this, I've been, babysitting this crazy guy and fighting all these things that are trying to kill me, and it's all been a walk in a one blank circle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it really, I was like, yeah, that's really a thing. And then I sort of wait a minute. Just throwing a throwaway line in there like that doesn't excuse you getting to use the same assets 3 times over. Come on, guys.
That was a good line, though.
That's a solid line. And to be fair, yeah, they use the same assets, but it was maybe an hour of the game.
Well, but they did it for the apartments. They did it for
Okay.
The train, where you get on the train. They did it for the hub. Like, every time you went into space, there must have been like a homing signal onto where you started 3 chapters ago that it just boink. I'm gonna crash through the roof there.
Nice.
And then the last thing is, well, obviously Nicole betrays you because we all saw that coming because we all played Darkness and Brutal Legend.
Yeah.
But her little line before she does that, where she's like, "Who am I, Isaac?" And it's like, it could have been a little more subtle than that. Like, we get that you're a projection of Isaac, his mental state. Like, you've been building this for 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
You don't need to come out and say it. Come on, you were right there. You tripped at the finish line.
But the thing with this game is, like, as compared to some of the past entries in Game Club, history, the vast
This one was good.
Well, the vast majority of these are forgivable sins on a pretty grand scale here.
Oh yeah. I'm not saying don't play this game because of this stuff.
No, I mean this is one of the best games I've ever played, flat out. Like, no quality.
This is a very good game.
Yeah.
It's got me considering playing 3,
Same
which
here.
I have on my hard drive because I was an idiot and bought SimCity.
Well, that's
It's
on you.
good. I liked 3.
Dead Space 3?
Yes.
I'm like a chapter in, and my thing is, I'm shooting way too many humans and not enough necromorphs.
Oh, it'll change.
Okay.
It'll change, and you rip apart something really cool in the mountains.
All
All
right.
no spoilers. I want to play it.
Yeah, same here. I think I'm going to load that up.
So-
And it's another one of those moments where you get to watch the awesomeness of that game.
yeah.
Did
Well, and that's
you all
what's going to bring me back.
did you all note Ellie's when you first pull up on the Ishimura, Ellie's comment that the Ishimura was a terrorist attack?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
I thought that was
a cover-up.
interesting.
I loved it. I loved that little piece, that revisionist history.
That nobody knows what really happened on the Ishimura.
Right. I thought it was
such a-
great. It was a nice touch.
That is a very nice touch. I actually forgot about that line. Good catch. So I mean, I honestly can't think of another bad thing to say about this game. So I think we
Aren't many.
yeah. So I think we got to go on to our next segment here. Good lines and great moments.
I
think
hit
we
most
covered
of mine.
most of that.
Yeah, I
and we
think we
covered
did
them
too.
all. The only, I think I maybe have 2 things here. One is when I was in the apartments, I saw there was an alarm clock, and I was like, that thing's
Oh!
going to go off.
Oh,
gonna go
yeah.
off, and they got me with the timing again, and it was a half second after I went, oh, I guess it's not gonna go, and I filled my rig, man. Like that was oh, that was awesome. Go ahead, Scott.
I was just gonna say that was another point that the game legitimately got me, because I saw the alarm clock and it didn't even register to me that this would go off. It was just flashing, and I was like, oh, it's a clock and whatever.
Yeah.
You walk into the room, you search the room, and as you come back out, the alarm starts going off. And I, again, as you so eloquently put it, filled my rig.
Oh, and they wait until it's behind you. They wait until it's out of your field of view. Oh.
Until you've forgotten about it. Until you've decided, mentally checked into the next area, and then they set it off, and it was good.
And it's more great sound design, because, I mean, I don't have surround sound. I just have a sound bar under my TV. Mm-hmm. And everything sounded like it was coming from where it was on screen. I mean, I know that's kind of par for the course these days, but I feel like they did a really good job here.
Yeah, I think that sort of... Yeah,
go ahead.
That brings back excellent sound design.
I wanted to ask Jay-Z, though. I think you sent a tweet that said something about quitting at one point. Some boss on disc 2.
Oh, that was the room. Maybe I think that was the room where I knocked it down because I was trying to just stay in this room and fight endless waves of enemies that I didn't know ended. I tell you what else I tweeted though. It was a picture of Isaac, because I have the riot suit. I don't know how I got it, but I have the riot suit, which is this sort of black kind of. It's the police gear. It's all the red and white and kind of. But when the mask is up, if you turn the camera around, because of the colors and the way it's shaped, he looks like War Machine, like from Marvel War Machine, except he's just grinning from ear to ear. He's the happiest War Machine in the world. So I did put that up on my Twitter.
I did wish they had the Stormtrooper from the first game.
It's been way too long.
It's the all white like elite like attack force gear. It looked like a stormtrooper with like a mouse head.
Nice. I did like the different suits in this game. I like that they were just like by default, like every time you upgraded, it was like, oh, you got a new suit. It's a different one. But I think I did stick with the engineer suit. I did like that you didn't have to stick with a specific style of suit to keep all those upgrades as well. That was a really nice little feature.
Yeah. Yeah, because you keep the highest upgrades you've had, and then you can just throw whatever skin on you want.
Mm-hmm. Another one before that crazy, invincible Necromorph starts chasing you. When you have to sneak past that task force that is coming to kill you, and you unleash Necromorphs on them.
Yes,
that is such a cool moment.
Yeah.
Did you guys notice how clever they were about the way they set that scene up? They didn't.
In what way?
You didn't see any of the SWAT team, so they didn't have to animate any of the models. All you saw was lasers.
That's interesting that you say it from that perspective, because I did notice that, and I assumed it was that you didn't humanize them.
Yeah. It might have been a happy accident. I think it saved them a ton of money not animating models.
I think you're probably closer to the truth, but I think the happy accident to that then is you don't recognize them as people. They're just a military force.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. They
their
become
bodies
an
to stomp
obstacle.
For ammo. Yeah.
They become an obstacle. But if there are people and you see the people, you can humanize them, and then that scene maybe loses some of its whatever it has.
It loses its power. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw Dimebag in chat here as a question. Do you think if it had multiple endings, that would help the game? I don't think so.
No.
It's driving towards a single point the whole time, and if you take a turn, like maybe do some funny endings like they did in Silent Hill 2, do some like alternate like moments where if you go do something really special, you get like something wacky. That'd be kind of fun. But when you're trying to drive a point home like Dead Space 2 is, it is a single contained experience that has a single purpose and end goal.
Well, the foam finger is pretty goofy, and with him going pew pew pow pow,
Ignition did that. Dead Space Ignition had I think 6 endings, which is crazy because an hour-long game and it's got 6 endings. Mm-hmm. But it really none of them. In that case, none of them feel valid. So
yes,
if you add more in, then you have a what's canon, and then you have sort of the Far Cry problem where this was the obvious choice, and I think it's better with one.
Yeah, I agree.
So we should talk about the end a little bit because I loved the ending.
I did too. Yeah.
The way the boss fight at the end was just so, but after that boss fight, where the way Isaac sets down,
Playable credit sequence.
And the credits start rolling. I put the controller down. I was like, "Oh, that's great." And then Ellie comes crashing in a helicopter.
Yes.
And I was like, "Well, I should have saw that coming." And then you play a little bit more. You have to catch up with the helicopter.
Is my memory fuzzy? Didn't he just take a javelin to the head?
No, he took one to the gut.
That's what happens. No, that's what happens if you fail the boss. Actually, if you let what's her name? I keep thinking
Ellie fly away.
Not Ellie.
No, if
Tideman.
Nicole touches you.
Oh yeah,
Nicole.
Touches you, yeah.
If Nicole touches you in the end, then it zooms back out and you see him take the javelin to the head, which is gruesomely graphic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it's that image is burned in my brain as the end of that game.
Yeah. Speaking
it's just like the head rock and there's this thing.
Oh yeah.
Probably because that happened to me. At least to me, it happened a bunch of times when you go to kill Tideman. When you're walking up, I love the way they like you've been communicating with this guy over vid feed the whole time, and the first time you meet him, he's just backlit, washed out. You can't even see him.
Light. Yeah.
And you walk up, and he just hits you, and you take. Well, I think you take one in the shoulder, and you gotta pull it out.
Yeah.
And you just got this button mash A, and you finally get close enough, and you just wreck him. And it's not even a boss fight; it's just a murder.
You're right. It wasn't a boss fight.
Yeah.
Like 80s boss.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's, the brutality of how he takes him down is just awesome.
That's
that's exactly how that should have played out.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's the javelin under his chin, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oof.
Just.
But yeah, then you get to play the end credits. Like it's like here's just a little touch more for you.
I didn't expect him to survive. At that point, I thought he was done.
Which is why I say I should have saw that coming, though, because you put Ellie and you kick her off. You should have known that she was coming back.
Yeah. That was a solid moment, though.
But I had the same...
just going, like, I need to save you.
I had the same thought, though, after the game is quote-unquote over. I was like, oh, man, this is where they're going to end it. Wow. Okay.
That is bleak.
That would have been a real ballsy choice.
I think we missed a set piece, too, the marker. When that thing fires off, it makes that sound.
Yeah.
Like, and you run into it right before you do the needle to the eye thing, and you're going across, and you just see this, and that wow, like reverb. I can only imagine what that sounded like in headphones. It was stellar on our surround sound system.
Yeah, the Inception thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
You can't say enough about the sound in the game.
You really can't.
It's perfect.
Just absolutely stellar sound design.
My thoughts exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, one last thing, and we can move on to glitches and stuff. Although maybe this counts as one, so I'm calling it a segue. Nicole tricked me into telekinesising a node down a bottomless pit.
Wait, what?
When does that happen?
It's right before you get on the, there's a couple of elevator sequences. This is the one where you're in the mining colony. It's probably the last elevator sequence.
Yeah.
When you're going up on the freight elevator and everything's jumping down on you.
Okay.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Right. While the elevator is either coming up or coming down, basically you're in front of a pit, and Nicole shows up across the other side. Well, she doesn't show up right away, because you enter the room, and then it's basically like, 7 feet of space, and then giant pit, and then there's this area on the other side that, like, if a bridge came down, you could walk across to the other side. Nicole, there's items over there. There's, 2 or 3 items. Yeah. And I grab one, and it's some ammo, and I grab another one, and it's some money, and I grab the third one, and as it's coming to me, Nicole shows up and starts yelling, and I went, ah! And just TK'd the node straight down to the pit. And I was like,
okay.
She gotta go. Thankfully, I still got to get the node, because during the elevator section, Nakamura saw push me into the corner of the elevator, and I fell through the earth. So I guess all's well that ends well.
Indeed.
Now,
did you guys run any glitchy stuff?
The biggest glitches I always ran into was Nakamura stuck to my feet.
Yeah, always a fun one. Happened in the first one, too.
Dragging him around with me for a room or two.
Flopping around.
Yeah, it was always like, you never really notice, all of a sudden you just get one flop out in front of you, you're like, oh.
Did you guys notice the shop tells you to have a nice day when you close it up?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a nice little touch.
Makes me so happy.
Yeah, and I like the consistency with all the Pang references, and then that stupid mascot that was everywhere. I just love like dumb marketing that was throughout that game.
Yeah, it was a lot lighter than the first one, because the first one was all those like sex ads on the subway and stuff, wasn't there?
Yeah, kind of like
so.
bomb, like 80s or like 50s bombshell look, like.
But like it's clearly an advertisement for a strip club kind of thing, or maybe I'm misremembering.
No, it's all for Pang. What does everybody want? Pang.
Oh, you cut out for a second when you said Pang the first time. I thought you said pain, and I was like,
No,
I couldn't have heard that right. I'm gonna.
Pang.
Yeah, I guess the last thing that I thought was kind of funny is, it was one of these times where you crash back into the station, and you're like right next door, and you got to save Ellie and Strauss, and I was like, Ellie, are you there? And she's like, yes, I'm right outside. Hurry. And okay, I'm just gonna do some shopping, and then there's some bodies over here. I'm gonna loot those, and then I'll be right there.
Yeah. Yeah, where you're trying to, like, they try to give you that sense of urgency, and then they drop that stuff in front of you. It's just like, ooh, all right.
And here's a shop and a save point, like,
Yeah.
oh, and maybe a bench. Like he's whacking away on this thing with a hammer and anvil. Speaking of which, those benches.
Nice.
Oh, there you go.
Knobs just put up a poster for Pang in the video.
Nice.
Speaking of which, the bench. Is there any reason that thing has to snap shut like a bear trap? How many people have died before the necromorph showed up just because they were trying to work on a bench?
I wish that'd be a death sequence, like you get startled and you land on it and it folds you up in
Oh,
it.
that's a good idea.
God, if you could, like, throw a necromorph onto one.
Yeah, just put the boot in the big 300 boot right in the chest.
See, my concern there would be that it would get all Jason X on it.
Oh, yeah, you
Just
wouldn't want to
like-
do that.
Yeah, no. Just like the steel-plated necromorph, you're like, oh, come on.
Like, oh, now I know why it's unkillable.
Yeah.
Oh, one other thing, and then I promise I'm done. After Ellie loses her eye, the bandage still has the shape of an eyeball under it. And it was like, did she find a glass eye or pull one out of a necromorph or something?
Could
Maybe
just
it's
be
just
a
the
ball of
swelling.
gauze. Yeah, it could be anything, but yeah, that's a good point.
The swelling! There was a bulge from an eye socket. There's nothing to swell. But maybe she's just really resourceful. I don't know.
Just
Who
really
knows?
I'm pretty
congealed
sure
blood.
having my eye poked out with a screwdriver would have screwed me up a little more than it screwed Ellie up.
It screwed you up.
She's tough. She's a tough girl.
She is a tough lady. That is definitely.
Isaac
true
should have locked that down.
Yeah.
just put her in stasis and drag her on the ship.
Hey, space caveman.
Oh, there's
man.
so many inappropriate things right now to be said.
So do you guys got anything else you ran into?
I don't know, but you unlocked the potential of stasis, and that needs to happen.
Yeah.
I
need
can't
to
think
move
of any,
on.
I can't think of any glitches I ran into in this game. It was rock solid the whole time for me.
This stasis
didn't have
pack's
anything that
being
jumped
sold
out.
as marital aids.
And wait till 50 Shades of Stasis comes out.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's just a blue
where did this go
gradient.
off the rails?
The minute we brought Knobs into this call, that's when it happened.
50 Shades of Teal. Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, mix that with some TK? Oh, that could be some fun.
Oh, and Zero G? Oh, man. The possibilities are endless.
Obviously, Jay-Z and Knobs are having their own show right now.
I think
Yeah.
they are, Scott. I think they are.
Oh,
Hang out afterwards, Knobs. We got some discussions.
The mind's percolating.
Time for the percolator. Well, I think we've sort of hit our pretty logical endpoint at this point, unless anybody's got some final thoughts.
I love this game.
I can't
It
stress
was a
enough.
good game. It was a good game club game. It was
Yes.
perfect.
This is the type of thing that we have built Game Club for. We want Game Club to be something where someone comes into it and experiences something completely new and different to what their everyday, gaming norm is. I don't play horror games, as evidenced by my PT playthrough and the atrocity that was. But this clicked with me, and it's something I never would have expected. I love sci-fi, not too big on horror, but you put them together, and yeah, I'm gonna play that right up. I'm gonna jump on the next Dead Space game that happens. I'm even gonna go play 3.
Well, maybe we can co-op it.
Maybe.
I would
That's-
argue.
that's the
Oh,
thing.
I strongly recommend co-op.
Okay.
Can you co-op 3?
Yes.
All right, we need to do that then.
Well, do you want a partner?
I need the game on the 360 at first, I guess.
Yeah,
Because I have a PS3 copy.
Same here.
Oh.
Yeah, I got it for free.
PC.
Well, we'll figure something out.
The only other thing I can think of, and I know I keep saying that, it would never happen. It's it would have to be on PC. I want somebody to write a mod, and of course EA won't let you mod their stuff. But I want someone to write a mod that takes that spooky runic kind of weird writing on the walls, and then like have it change to English for just a fraction of a second, but only when you're not looking directly at it, and then go back. Like, I felt like that would have been a really nice touch as you
All
went
that
crazier if
stuff's
they started doing
translated
that.
online.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I get Jay-Z's point. It would be great in
Yeah.
the game.
because it makes sense
Yeah.
with Isaac's hallucinations.
Well, maybe they want you to learn that language so you could read it yourself.
Yeah, I like the game, but not that much.
Yeah.
The only
I
other
agree.
the only other thing I could think of is, man, let's get crazy. Let's do a little mashup with Mass Effect and Dead Space. Let's have Commander Shepard kill him some necromorphs.
I'd watch that.
I'd play that. Throw some necromorphs into the next Mass Effect multiplayer.
Well, they'll be technomorphs.
Oh, nice. Well done, sir.
Terrible.
Gethromorphs?
Gethromorphs.
Oh God, Geth necromorphs. That'd be awful.
Yeah.
That's just
with
the
with that
worst.
little beam of light.
Yep,
I like the Geth. They're cool.
they are cool.
Sure.
They are cool. But what's cooler is how good this game is. And if you're not on the TVGP forums already, you should be, so that you can sign up for Game Club.
Things are changing up here.
Yes, and I think Scott is going to be our
That's a
guy.
segue, if I've
And-
ever seen one.
Yeah, and Scott's going to be the guy that explains that. So, take it away, sir.
All right, so we do want to make some changes to Game Club. I think the goal here is to make it more of a club. I don't know that it feels too club-like right now. So we're going to try to tie individuals to actual games. So instead of just saying the community voted to play Dead Space 2, we would like to at least tie an individual to that suggestion. So I think the idea is that we're going to set up a thread for the next week and take suggestions. We want basically one suggestion per person.
Yes, so pick your
And then-
favorite game. Pick the game that you want to play.
Yeah, basically the game that you think maybe didn't get enough recognition, maybe a game that you just really love, or whatever your reasoning is. I'd like to make it as personal as possible.
Yes.
Somehow make it a reflection. If you just want to pick a random game, that's fine too.
A game you want to foist upon others and have to listen to their misery about.
Sure, if
That is
you
also
pick a
an
terrible
option.
game. Pick a game that is atrocious, and then you'll be known as the guy who picked the game that's atrocious. So then for the next week, we'll take that, and we'll compile a list, and what we'll do for the first go-around here is just randomize that list. And then we're going to pull out a host game. So Jay-Z, Brian, and myself will get a selection. And then we'll take 2 people from the forum, their suggestions, and put those up to vote. So instead of having this list of 20 games to vote for 2 on, we'll just narrow it down. We'll do 3 selections, and you just vote for 1.
Yes.
And then we'll play that game. And then everybody else will get randomized and put in order. And then whoever's game gets voted as the one that we'll play, the next month we'll slot in the person at the top of the list. And we'll just keep this up until we go through everybody. And then we'll make some tweaks along the way that we'll get into. We'll just have to see how this plays out.
Yeah.
But the
Also
idea is we'll sure, go ahead.
If everybody votes on your game and we play it that month, we're kind of wanting to have you on the show.
Yeah, we
So-
want you on this
Absolutely.
show.
Absolutely. We definitely want you to participate then if your game gets picked on the recap.
Because by default, you already know it, you already love it, you're going to have a lot to say about it. We want to get more people involved. So,
Yes,
Correct.
absolutely.
So that's the objective here, is to get more people into it and feel as if they are part of a club and less anonymous maybe.
Absolutely.
All right, so hopefully the end goal here is then to get to a point where the hosts are picking a game, the community's picking a game, if you've not had your game picked at all ever, and then the third selection would be people who have had their game selected in the past, getting another shot at having another game picked.
Yeah, so we'll have.
So that's
three
where
slots.
that's where we'd like to end up with it. We'll just have to see how it plays out. Now the thing is, we'd like to have you guys, the listeners, decide on is, should this be a situation where your game gets put up on the list to vote, and then the game gets pulled off the next month or the next time we go to select a game, or is it a situation where we want to have whoever's game that didn't get voted on or didn't get voted through stay on the list until it gets picked? And those are decisions we'd like to have you guys make. So make sure to let us know in the forum also when you suggest your game whether you want to keep that game on the list until it gets selected, or if it needs to get pulled off after its first opportunity.
Yeah. And the other thing is, I think we're going to be a little more lax on the rules of this has to be on at least 3 platforms that are easily accessible. If there's a game and it's like PC only, but it's pretty runnable, on a majority of machines, I think we can start to let a little bit more of that relax. So that, as long as we can all play it,
No, I agree. I think we're going to have to open it up. If we're asking people to do this, we can't restrict it then to, well, it has to be available on at least 3 platforms. And,
it really limits us.